Hi, guys, and welcome back to Kay's Corner podcast, episode 7. Oh, I feel like I should be so much further with these videos, but you know what? You got to take it on easy on yourself. You got to give yourself grace, okay? Life is lifing, but you also have to make time for what's important and what you feel like you're most passionate about. So here I am, episode 7, Get to Know Me. You guys had some of best, the literal best questions. I was not expecting these questions at all. So I'm definitely excited to answer them. And you guys had me really sitting to myself like, ooh, let's think about this question. Or wow, like no one's asked me this question before. So it's super cool to see how everybody took the time out to really think about their questions um, on getting to know me. So let's just get into it. I'm so excited that I have a list. I was going to use index cards, but I'm like, you know what? Let me just write them down in my phone. So the first one I'm going to do is what's your nationality? So I had a lot of you guys guess on this one, and a lot of people who know me got it right. Some people who don't know me, they also got it right. And then some people chose things that literally had me cracking up. Let me see if I can even pull up. I don't even remember what I put. Let me see. I don't even think I have it on this one. Okay, well, let me not get sidetracked. But anyways, I threw a couple of just like trick ones. So it was funny. Like I did Philippines and Puerto Rican. I get that I'm Puerto Rican a lot. Um maybe it's the way I talk sometimes. Um maybe it's like my curly hair when it's down. Maybe it's the spice that comes with me. Like, I don't know why I get Puerto Rican so much, but you guys are literally going to laugh. For those who think I'm Puerto Rican and Italian or, just something Spanish, I'm actually 25% South Korean and 75% Italian. Um, so again, I get that I'm Puerto Rican a lot, but no, I'm Korean and Italian. I wear glasses a lot of the time too, so you can't really like see my eyes, but I do have like an almond shaped like eyes. They're almond shaped, I would say. And you can tell a lot more when I'm not wearing glasses. That's like what I get most. And that's I feel like I see more of the Asian when I'm not wearing my glasses. And a lot of you guys are funny too. When I say Asian, like Asian can be literally Japanese, Philippines, Korean, you know, it's the Asian culture, but I'm Korean and Italian. So that was a cool question because a lot of people are always so curious about that. So there you guys go. What's your biggest fear? Mm. See, I used to be scared of death, like of me dying. I know that sounds like so brunt, but it's literally the truth. Until I really had an understanding of God and who He is to me, and that I have a little bedroom up there waiting, or maybe a big bedroom, but so I'm not like really scared to die. Like I believe that everybody has a time, and whether it's super duper old or sooner, like there's just a time for everybody, and that's really it. So I used to fear that, but my biggest fear is disappointing God or letting myself down. Um, but my biggest fear is disappointing God for sure. Um, and if you guys want me to elaborate on that a little bit before I go on to the next question, is like, why would that be your biggest fear? Like, why do you fear God? If He loves you, if He understands you, um, it's because we all have a purpose here on earth. And I finally found my purpose. And now that I know my purpose and why He gave me life, I don't know, like I just feel like I owe him my world. I owe him everything. And my biggest fear would be disappointing him, knowing that in my heart. Okay, on to the next. So I did put this question up because it had to do with my biggest fear. I really like this one. I wasn't expecting somebody to ask me this. How did you come to your faith? Share your testimony. Why I was excited to answer this is because I'm sure a lot of you on the other side of this screen have seen me slip. And some of you know me and might have judged me in that way, or some of you don't, and it confused you or it disappointed you because my journey was so and is still so strong. But the truth is that I'm only human. You're only human. We are all only human. And God didn't, put us on this earth to be perfect. That's the exact opposite, actually. Um, so I have slipped a bunch of times and I'm still growing with my faith. I'm still getting to know the Lord and the word. I haven't read every page of the Bible. And it's very hard to live in this world. And I now see that in so many ways, whether it's listening to the music or going to concerts. Like, I just posted that I'm going to a concert, but in ways that I'm still growing, I'm still learning. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Sorry, I have to make sure I word this right. I think it's a beautiful thing when I get to recognize and get to accept and get to grow from things. So, how did you come to your faith? My faith has always been there. My faith since I was a little girl has always been there. And I think it's the foundation that I grew up in. Although my parents are no longer together, um, I was just raised going to church on Sundays. My grandfather was a pastor, he's retired now. So my foundation came a lot from, yeah, my mom showed us, but more so in depth would be my grandparents. And it's just always been on my heart. um, I I went to a revival once and I was so little. I must have been 7 or 8 years old. And I literally did not want to go up to the stage, but my grandmother begged me to go up to the stage. And some of you may look at this crazy, some of you guys will be like, "Wow." But the experience that I had on that stage, I believe that that day the Holy Spirit just completely like entered me and my life, my heart, my soul. Um, I went up on the stage with my grandmother. She's so crazy. I could say that I'm so much like her now, but as a kid, obviously, I'm shy. And there's thousands of people at this revival. I've never been to anything like it. And he, the pastor was putting his hands on individuals' heads and he was praying over them and they literally like knocked out to the ground. Like I was scared for my life. I'm like, "Grandma, like I really don't want to do this. Like I'm nervous. I don't know what he's doing." Like he's like slapping people on their head. He wasn't literally slapping people on their head, but like that's what it looked like right on the forehead. Like literally, like bam, in the name of Jesus, I pray. And he was just going off and people were just dropping to the floor. Like you couldn't even act because I was 7, 8 years old and I could not act that. But as soon as I got on that stage, he put his hand to my head and he prayed with his soul and bam! Like I knocked out to the ground. I woke up. I was more scared than when I first walked onto that stage. I literally was so scared. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like what just happened? I just passed out." But now that I look back, I believe my innocence was so pure. And I was going through a lot at that age, things that I can't even speak upon at least yet with you guys. But very deep, deep, dark things that were in my life, and it was near and it was far and it was very close and it was very far. It was surrounding me. So that day that I walked up on that stage, I believe ever since then, like my faith has always been strong because of the trials and tribulations that I've been through. And a couple of them It sounds crazy, but I have been living on my own since 17 years old. 17 turning to 18, I got my first apartment. Um, I'm sorry, it's funny when I think about it because it's like, oh my gosh, like who even does that at 17 turning 18 years old? But it was just like always the strength, always the motivation, always the what's next. Um, don't get me wrong, I had my days where I felt like my back was against the wall, but I always just felt this strength and fire in me that I just felt, although there were people and things close and near, uh, and far away, that I was just always able to overcome it. Like, even when I felt like I had nobody, I would always talk to the big man upstairs. People thought that I was probably on drugs, like talking to myself, like to the wall, but I was talking to God all the time. And now that my faith is stronger than ever, I got rebaptized in July of last year. My grandfather did it. And I really have to say, sorry, I'm like stuttering over my words because I'm getting nervous talking about this because it's just like has never been talked about really. But when I got rebaptized, that's when I started slipping the most. It was July. Um, Next thing I knew, it just like the months were going on, Halloween, New Year's, and New Year's Eve, like something happened that night with just the group of people that we were with, me and my friend. And that next morning, I felt so convicted. I felt like there was something missing out of my soul. Like I just felt like crying. I just felt like just gross inside. And I know that's not God's intentions, but if that's what we have to go through to understand what it feels like to break the laws of the Lord, it's very deep, and you could really really feel it. And once I started really feeling convicted, I started to understand just things and people, situations, trials and tribulations. I mean, the vision that I was receiving from God and just the wisdom. And I had to beg God to give me wisdom because in this world, it is very easy to fall victim to the people around you, the influencing, the wanting to be like everybody else. And that's what else? It wasn't just the conviction, it was feeling the people pleasing. I just My whole life I just always tried to fit in and always tried to be with the most popular group, and at the end of the day it was draining me because it was never meant to be that way. And I'm lucky to have seen it that way because I have friends or I have family members or even my parents that don't even realize it. If I'm being truthful, sorry if you guys are watching this, but you know, sometimes people don't get to grasp that. And that's why I pray for the ones around me, even for strangers or people that I'm just starting to get to know. Like, I'm constantly praying for the people around me because they're surrounding me. And I also sometimes I'm only human, so I don't get to have the strength or the power to unmask those around me. And that's why I'm so thankful to God because even when I'm weak and when I started noticing that, I'm only human and I can't be in control of everything, is that I need to submit myself to the Lord. And that's why I don't fear being in a relationship. I don't fear new people in my life, or I don't fear death because I just know, I just know now. I just know what it's like to feel convicted. I know what it's like to be close to the Lord. I know what it's like to fully submit yourself. And I'm still trying to fully submit myself, but I understand now that I need to pray for wisdom. I need to pray to be a stronger woman of God and child of God, and to have understanding for myself so that I can understand others. Um so this was probably the deepest question for me, and that's why it's taking me some time to really express it, because it's so much deeper than even this 40-minute video can possibly record. um, that's a podcast in itself. But who has been Ooh, I'm sorry. That was not it. How did you come to your faith? Share your testimony. That's how I came to my faith. My faith has always been there, but it's stronger than ever because of the conviction that I would feel indulging into the wicked or the lustful thoughts or, you know, just feeling convicted and having the vision that God blessed me with to see through people and see through things and to most importantly see through myself. I was hiding and running from myself. I was hiding and running from God as if he can't see me. Like Adam or Eve hiding behind a leaf as if God can't see us. Like once I came to that realization of like, and I laugh about it because it's just like who do I think I am? Like literally who am I? You know? So once I realized that I can't hide from myself or hide from God, I was like, okay, you know, now I feel like I'm kind of hitting a reality spectrum and this is pretty cool. So I talk to God 24/7, probably over 7 times a day when I'm sad, happy, when I'm like congratulating myself or just something that he's blessed me with that I've been praying for, a person, a thing, a job, when I'm angry, when I did something stupid. Like, I literally talk to him all the time. And that's why I feel like my faith is stronger than ever. So, I will definitely go deeper into that in another podcast episode. But I literally love that question. How did you come to your faith? Thank you for asking that question. Okay, next question, guys. Who has been the biggest influence or inspiration in your life? Why? Ooh, I like this one. I didn't really need to think about this one too much at all, just because they are so important to me. But my biggest influence or inspiration in my life are my grandparents, like without a doubt, hands down. I call them my ma and my ba, and I hopefully they watch this one. But my ma and ba are my biggest inspiration. And I told you guys a little bit before about my foundation. They are my foundation. I do have parents, but I don't believe that the foundation always lies in the home that you're raised in with your parents or siblings. I think your foundation can be from anything or anyone. And besides my top number one of God, who taught me, who brought me into it, who planted the seed, and it was my grandparents. And it's not just them helping me to build and understand my faith and understand God and what it's like to be a woman and child of God. It's their love for each other. They met, my grandmother's from South Seoul, Korea. My grandfather was stationed in South Seoul, Korea after the Korean War. But long story short, they met at 17 and 18 years old and they fell in love. And my grandfather was obviously stationed there for some time. He wanted to propose and marry my grandmother. Ooh, I'm blushing just like for my grandmother and grandfather. I think it's so cute. Um, and my great grandfather, so my grandmother's father was pretty much like, okay, if you come back for my daughter, I'll let you take her back. I'll let you take her back to America. And so he left and they had messed up his paperwork and pretty much told him, you can be stationed anywhere. Where do you want to go? And he's like, what? He's like, are you kidding me? My future wife is in South Seoul, Korea. Like, send me over that way. So he went back for my grandmother and he was stationed there for a little bit. And when it was time to leave, he had brought her back to America. He was still in the service, and my grandmother didn't speak any English, but she walked around Brooklyn, found her way around, learned how to speak English. Now she speaks like 7 different languages. Like, how can she not be my biggest inspiration? She's great with math. Like, give her any type of math, and she can literally solve it in her head. My grandfather just continued in the service. He was NYPD lieutenant, and he paints beautifully. But anyways, they came back and they got married at 17 and 18 years old, and they are still in love till this day. And on my Instagram, I'll post on my story for you guys, but I'll show something that my grandfather had drawn for their 56th anniversary. It's the cutest thing ever, but who has been the biggest influence or inspiration in your life and why? It's my grandparents. Why? Because they have planted the seed of my faith and my Lord and Savior. And they've also taught me what true love is. And old school love that just lasts till the day that you're in the grave, like notebook type of love that people dream about and think that it doesn't exist, but it truly most certainly does. And they remind me every day my worth, and just ever since I was a little baby, just reminding me that I will be something one day and just supporting anything and everything that I do. They're just so amazing to me. So, those two people are my biggest influence and inspiration in my life. Next question. What's your ideal first date? So, I'm sorry, I had to like think about this because I feel like so many people have normalized like not going on a date. And it was some time that I didn't go on a date, but my ideal first date is probably like a really nice restaurant. Um, I feel like a lot of people think a first date now is going over someone's house and Netflix and chilling. Um, or like, I don't know, going to the bar, which I'm not hating, but it's just like not my ideal first date. Like I'd want to go on a very nice dinner date, you know? I'm very romantic, so anything romantic is my ideal first date. Um and definitely food needs to be involved. Delicious food. Even though I literally don't always finish my food, but if I'm in the mood for something good and you are totally down to get it with me, that's pretty cool. Um I can also be adventurous. Like if you want to go on a hike, I'm totally down to go on a hike. Ew. I don't know about a first date actually hiking. That's pretty that's pretty crazy, but yeah, the one that I had on my head is just a nice restaurant. A nice restaurante. Um what does home feel like to you? This one can make me get a little bit emotional, honestly, because it took me so long to understand what home feels like. Again, I've been moving around just because of like life is situational, COVID with my one apartment, my another apartment flooded. Um, there's just been situations on why I've had to move so many times. And I don't believe that home is necessarily a roof over your head. I think that home is where the heart is at. Home can be with a person, and my home is definitely with my siblings, and family and loved ones, just unconditional love, laughs, um, just being around things that genuinely make me feel good. And that's definitely my loved ones, my grandparents, siblings. And yeah, I realized that home isn't necessarily a roof over your head. Home is where the heart is at. So it would have to be with my loved ones, 100%. Okay, next one. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. What's easier, saying sorry to someone or having them say sorry to you? I had to think about this one because at first it was like a question like I've literally never been asked before and never even thought of. But what's easier, saying sorry to someone or having them say sorry to you? I don't like waiting on people. It's nice sometimes to have somebody, but I don't like waiting on people. I'd rather just take accountability for what I did and just say sorry. And in no matter in what situation, like you can most definitely play a part, whether you stormed out, you weren't understanding, but I'm a woman of accountability. So like I think it's easier just for me to say sorry if I did something. I wouldn't do that. I don't think anyone should ever do that. Say sorry for something you didn't do. I feel like you're lowering your peace and happiness for them at that point. But if you genuinely did something, if I genuinely did something, I would totally rather say sorry. I think I would need to like calm my brain depending on what the situation is. But I think that that's an expectation for them to say sorry to you. Especially if you did something wrong. I'll speak for myself. But if I did something wrong, like I would not expect them to say sorry to me. Um, so I think it's easier to say sorry. For me at least. Some people like it's very pride is a wicked thing. People don't like saying sorry. Okay, I like that one. Guys, you're so good at this. I feel like I'll definitely do another questionnaire, but I just wanted you guys to get to know me and get to know like kind of my mindset of, what I think about certain things. What's your safe spot? Do you tend to stay there often? My floor. No, I'm kidding. My carpet is so nice and I do like laying on my carpet, but my safe spot would definitely be my room. I don't know, this corner is not just like the podcast corner. This is kind of where I sit and I journal, where I read my Bible. Um my bed, I love my bed. Just being in my room where it's peace and quiet. I do have a second safe spot, and that would definitely be by the water, beach, whether it's freezing cold outside or hot as sex. I would totally be in my room or at a beach. Those are my two safe spots without a doubt. And my safe spot being the beach is also like being feeling close to God, just like his beauty of earth. So that's another reason. It's just like the sound of the ocean, just the birds flying, the sand in between your toes, like my carpet in between my toes, like my bed just feeling so soft and my silky sheets, just like knowing that like I'm okay here and that, I feel safe. I like that. Guys, these are questions that I've never been asked before. What would you consider your three biggest red flags? I had to think about this one because, no one wants to believe that, we have red flags, but the truth is that everybody has a red flag. It could be an eating habit, it could be a spending habit, it could be credit debt. I mean, it could be literally anything. What would you consider your three biggest red flags? Number one, I love to shop. It's a problem. Like, if you bring me into a mall or anywhere else, like, I can't stop. I don't know if it's a Leo thing. I believe in the signs, but I don't dig deep into them. But I definitely like spending money. But it's something that I can control. I'm very organized and I journal, I write down, what I'm spending, whether it's my bills or, a passport or clothing. I try to like keep track on it. And if I'm doing too much, I definitely try to take a step back. So that's one, spending money. I'm like so embarrassed to admit that. Another red flag. Sometimes I tend to be impulsive. I guess that can do with like an example is spending. I was impulsive at 17 and 18 years old when I bought an apartment, not bought, but started renting an apartment. Um, so being impulsive. But then it could be also cool. I guess like I wouldn't say impulsive. I would say spontaneous, but that's not a red flag. But I guess there's a fine line between being impulsive and being spontaneous. So I tend to sometimes be impulsive. And then my last biggest red flag can be letting someone in too quick. But I think I'm hitting that age where, having boundaries and really understanding myself and what I want and need in my life. But that was just what came to my head would definitely be letting people in too soon. It could even, I've had friends where I've had to cut them off. Um, you know, Dating, getting to know someone, definitely just something and a piece of advice that I'd like to share with you guys that someone wise once told me is that we should all have a screen. Okay. So we should have a screen like a window, and there should be an easy flow out and an easy flow in. Bad air out, fresh air in. There should definitely be a filter. And I feel like for the past few years, I had my window wide open, and you can't do that. And I'll tell you why. If you keep that window wide open, you will let all of that love, all of that affection, all of that wisdom and knowledge and understanding and confidence and strength and passion about anything, going to the gym, for me, my podcast, anything. You're going to keep giving all that love out to the point where you start feeling empty, and you can't have that, because then you start losing yourself. So the point is to keep that screen up. That's fair. You are letting out the bad and letting in the good. You need to have that filter, that circulation of refresh all the time, and just giving out a little bit, you getting a little bit. You know, it should never be window and screen wide open and you literally pouring your soul out to the world. You have to protect your temple. You have to protect your body. You have to protect your mind, because it's not for everybody. So, as much as you want to share that with everybody, sometimes you give a little and you feel it out, and then someone gives you a little, you feel it out. You have to take it easy on yourself, and you cannot be so quick to just let everything flow out. So, have a filter. Um, Definitely have a filter, just like a window. And once I started realizing that, and someone gave me that piece of advice when I was very little, but it's something that always clicked with me. And once I realized that, was when I started realizing that that was my red flag. So being impulsive, spending money, and um letting people in too soon. So that was like a definitely a good question to ask me, because it had me sitting in my thinking chair, writing in my journal, just really thinking about it and being honest with myself. It's so great when you're honest with yourself, because you need to understand yourself so you can understand others. If you don't understand and respect yourself and grow boundaries for yourself and within yourself, it'll be very hard for you to set boundaries with other people and understand other people. So to me, that was a very important question to be asked, and very cool to get in my head a little bit. Like I said, you can't hide from yourself. You have to just hit it head on and literally accept it, take accountability, grow from it, and literally continue on with your life, because there's greatness ahead of you. If you could change one core personality trait, what would it be? My siblings probably can literally vouch for this and probably can't stand this about me. And I've been told this before. For those have told me, zip it. Okay? I'm coming clean to the table. If there was one core personality trait that I would change, is probably, you guys would think that I'm uptight or on edge, but since you're getting to know me, why am I uptight or on edge sometimes? I've had to be a motherly figure to my siblings, and I have no problem with it, but I had to learn boundaries, okay, so that I wouldn't step on their toes and I wouldn't allow them to step on my toes. What's in my control, what I'm capable of, and like what I have no obligation to. But once I realized that I was putting too much on my plate and that I had picked up that role, which again, I have no problem with picking up that motherly role for my siblings, because, that gave me purpose in my life. I needed to realize that that motherly figure kind of trait was not only affecting my relationship with my siblings, it was kind of like strolling into my relationships and my friendships. I was always, even if I'd be out with my friends, just constantly like on their body, are you okay? Like, da 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 da, or just like being in a relationship and, just having to be in control of certain things rather than just like being free and going with the flow with that's exactly who I am. I'm very like flowy, and I'm very adventurous, and I'm very, let's do it. Let's try something new. But until I realized that, or before I realized that, I was very uptight and on edge. And in my head, I call it like the motherly personality trait. I had to take accountability and be like, hey, Kaylee, you kind of put this on your plate because you felt obligated, and you weren't obligated, and it's not your job. You did the right thing, you did what you could, and you can only continue to do what you can and what you're capable of. But this isn't your job. So stop putting it on yourself, because the more that you're putting on yourself, you're putting on other people, and it's pouring onto other people. And um, that's another piece of advice. When you have cut wounds, you most definitely need to heal them first, because those wounds will pour on to other people. And I can't say that I did that intentionally. I was just young, and I still am young. You're still young. I think that 50 something years old is still young, because even today in my job, I had a conversation with a 52-year-old woman telling me that something just clicked in her head, and she was amazed that it has clicked in my head at 23 years old. And you know what? We're all young, and we all still have room to improve and do better. So once I did realize that I was kind of uptight and on edge, and I'm still learning how to starve that part of me, um it's a part of me. So I need to take it easy on myself, and I need to truly understand it, truly take accountability of it, and truly grow from it, so that I can put it put it on the side, or honestly put it behind me. Not even put it to the side. Let me fix that. We need to stop putting things to the side. We need to take it head on, or once I started taking it head on, I started leaving it behind me, and not to forget about it, because I understand it now. It's not that I've shoved it down or compressed it. I've brought it back up. I've had to feel that pain, understand that pain, understand why I chose to do that, and understand that it's a part of me, and that it was okay that I had and still growing and learning how to put it behind me, of being like that motherly figure, and just learning how to be a sister, and being kind of that motherly figure, but to a certain extent. Again, boundaries. Boundaries are important with everybody in your life. You should even have boundaries with yourself. Like, take those 3 seconds to be like, absolutely not. We talked about this. You have to have conversations with yourself. So, one core personality trait that I would change is definitely being uptight or on edge, because that's truly not who I am. I'm very going with the flow. I'm fun. I'm adventurous. I like to try new things, do new things. And doing that stopped me from having fun, or doing certain things, or being spontaneous, such as hopping on a ferry and going somewhere, or going into the city. I just like wasn't open to people and things. And it was because I was just in a literal bubble, and I didn't want to step outside from it, because I didn't understand it. So that would be my core personality trait that I would probably change if I could. And you can. If there's something that you need to fix or tweak up a little bit, it will always be a part of you, but it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily keep it around. What would you consider your biggest green flag? And this is the last question, guys. My biggest green flag is probably my strength and my positivity. My positivity probably pisses people off sometimes, because I'm such like a sometimes I really need to find some chill, because I can be a little bit hyper in a way. Um but that hyper positivity ball of joy has literally pushed me through this whole lifetime of sad, wicked, mean things in my life. And that I now understand is my biggest green flag, my strength and my positivity, because it's literally how I've gotten here to this point. It's how I've kept going through life. And thankful enough that God blessed me with that strength and positivity, because I've been in a ball of negativity before and like depression, and it was just like not fun. Like not fun whatsoever. So my positivity and strength has definitely pushed me through this lifetime, and it has definitely poured onto other people just like my cuts have poured onto other people before. I've learned to patch it up, open it, make sure it's good. It's not okay, package it back up until it's fully healed. And that has brought me to just this ball of joy. And again, I'm not perfect. I have my days where I have my little road rages where someone cuts me off and I'm like, rah. But, you know, that only lasts a couple minutes. That only lasts a couple minutes. It doesn't last me days or weeks. I'm very I'm a very on point type of person to like write in my journal, be real with myself nowadays, and just be like, ew, like I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be around people that are negative. I don't want to be depressed. Like it's just like to me, my brain and body cannot comprehend it and I just don't enjoy it. So I choose the positive, hyper joyful self, and that's my green flag, my strength and positivity. These were great questions. Um, I do try to keep these short and sweet so that you guys can actually enjoy them rather than watching almost a 2-hour video. Um, so I really hope that you guys got your answers. They were great questions. I enjoyed doing this podcast and not just literally recording it. Just sitting down with myself and being so for real with myself and really opening up with myself. I think it's so important to be open minded to yourself so that you can be open minded to people and conversations and things. And it was a cool experience to kind of literally speak out loud these questions and scratch my forehead and to think, you know, again, I could be impulsive. So to actually sit down and think about these questions was super cool. And I thank you guys a lot for participating and asking me these questions. And I cannot wait to drop episode 8. We'll record episode 8 and to drop episode 7, the get to know me, so that you guys can hear all of the answers. And again, I'm so thankful for you guys and just for the people that support me and who have been supporting me. I enjoy doing this. Again, if you guys watch my introduction video, my first video ever, the purpose of this podcast is to get to know other people and the way they think, nationalities, questions that you fear of asking anybody else because it's like, who would ask that? I had no idea that I would ever be answering any of these questions. And it is cool. And I'm happy that I'm able to give you guys a chance to actually ask these questions. Or, I know that sometimes social media can be a mystery and you guys are truly curious. So, I'm a curious cat sometimes too. And if this helped you guys get to know me better and kind of get to know me from outside of social media, even though it's still through social media, this is me being so open and so honest and real with you guys because I don't want you guys to feel like you have to be like everybody else and not talk about certain things. It's okay to open up and talk about things that nobody else talks about. It's okay to be different. And the more that I've actually chose to be different, the more that I've actually been able to grow with myself. So that's my whole purpose of this podcast is for me to get to know different mindsets and mentalities and for you guys to get to know mine too. So this episode was super cool. I definitely enjoyed this one. I enjoy all of my podcasts, but this was probably one of my favorite videos to record. And I really hope that you guys like all of the answers or I've opened up enough for you guys. And if I didn't, please feel free to DM me, ask me any questions, ask me for advice. We can FaceTime. I am going to start going live on Instagram and allowing people to hop in again and ask questions or go over the topic that we go over in that video. And I'm just so excited to continue this. I'm still nervous with these episodes. Um, the quality of my videos have gotten better, but this is still new to me talking to a screen. That's why I enjoy having a guest. But this one was for you guys and for myself too. So I was more than honored to share these things with you guys. And I'm hoping that I can open up more and you guys open up more to me. Thank you so much for hopping into episode 7 in Kay's Corner podcast.